The world outside a child's front door can change in seconds. This wild monkey grabbed a 2-year-old and nearly escaped with her. This coyote almost ripped off this child's leg. These shocking encounters with wild animals I am about to show you will leave you stunned. Child meets escaped zoo monkey. The streets of Terpigorievo seemed safe enough for a refugee family fleeing Ukraine's war-torn landscape, but danger doesn't always announce itself with sirens. 2-year-old Paulina had survived the bombs falling on her homeland, only to face something far more personal and terrifying in what should have been her sanctuary. Her family had found refuge in a village home next to a millionaire's private zoo, where exotic animals lived behind barriers that proved tragically inadequate on July 22, 2022. When Paulina stepped into the street to play on a simple ladder with other children, she entered a hunting ground she never knew existed. An escaped monkey from the neighboring collection appeared without warning, targeting her with surgical precision. The primate grabbed her while she was climbing, pulling her down and immediately beginning to bite and drag her across the rough ground with savage determination. Her screams pierced the afternoon air as the monkey's claws found purchase on her small frame, refusing to release its grip even as her mother rushed outside. The creature had decided this child belonged to it now, and no amount of human intervention would change its mind easily. When her father arrived, the monkey became even more vicious, launching coordinated attacks on both parents as they desperately fought to save their daughter. The father's hesitation was visible. His kicks were tentative, possibly due to fear of the monkey's disease-carrying bite. After what felt like an eternity, he finally managed to separate the animal from Paulina, but she had suffered severe injuries, including deep cuts and bites on her arms and legs, resulting in significant blood loss. What happened to Paulina proves that danger can lurk anywhere, but our next case shows how trained performing animals can turn city streets into hunting grounds. Girl attacked by bike-riding monkey. In the narrow residential streets of Surabaya, Indonesia, entertainment and terror collided in early May 2020 when a performing monkey decided its next act would involve a real victim instead of scripted tricks. 3 children sat innocently on a street bench, completely unaware that a predator was racing toward them on 2 wheels. The monkey, trained for traditional Topeng Monyet street performances, approached at alarming speed on its tiny bicycle. These shows had faced bans in regions like Jakarta since 2013 due to animal cruelty concerns, but enforcement remained inconsistent, allowing dangerous situations like this to develop in busy urban areas. The street suddenly transformed from a peaceful residential area into a crime scene as the monkey abandoned its bicycle and grabbed the toddler by her clothing, beginning to drag her along the ground. The child's terrified screams echoed through the narrow alley, while her 2 companions scattered in absolute panic, their afternoon play session becoming a nightmare they'd never forget. The adult, possibly the monkey's handler or a nearby resident, chased the animal and pulled it off the child before shooing it away. His swift intervention prevented what could have escalated into a much more serious situation, but the damage to everyone's sense of security had already been done. The toddler was retrieved with no reported injuries beyond minor scrapes from being dragged, but all 3 children remained visibly shaken. That Indonesian monkey struck with lightning speed, but our next story reveals how American suburban streets can become hunting grounds for much larger predators. 2-year-old enters coyote attack zone. The manicured lawns and quiet streets of Woodland Hills, California, represent everything parents want in a neighborhood: safety, community, and the peace of mind that comes with raising children away from urban dangers. But for the Eliahuo family, their own driveway became a hunting ground on December 2, 2022, when nature's predators decided that suburban boundaries meant nothing. It was 3:45 p.m. on a Friday afternoon when Ariel finished picking up 2-year-old Aria from daycare, going through the routine of unloading items from their car in what should have been the safest possible environment. Their neighborhood's proximity to the Santa Monica Mountains meant coyotes were common due to urban expansion encroaching on wildlife habitats, but attacks in residential driveways remained virtually unheard of. Araya stood in their front yard, probably watching her father work, when the unthinkable happened with shocking suddenness. A wild coyote burst into frame with deadly precision, targeting Araya without hesitation and grabbing her by her leggings. The family's Ring security camera captured every horrifying second as the predator immediately began biting down and dragging her across the yard while she screamed in pain and terror. Ariel initially thought his daughter had simply fallen, the mind's desperate attempt to rationalize the impossible. But reality hit him like a sledgehammer when he turned around to see this nightmare unfolding in his own driveway. He rushed over, shouting and scooping Aria into his arms while trying to fend off the aggressive animal with his body, but the coyote's persistence was terrifying. The predator backed away momentarily but refused to leave, forcing Ariel to throw a nearby water bottle bottle at it while yelling to scare it away. The coyote had claimed this territory as its hunting ground, and only sustained human aggression finally convinced it to retreat. Aria sustained bites and scratches on her legs, requiring stitches and a series of rabies shots as a precaution. Coyotes can turn any street into a danger zone, but our next case shows how even school bus stops, the most routine part of a child's day, can become scenes of animal terror. Raccoon attacks girl. The morning routine should be the most predictable part of any child's day. Breakfast, backpack, walk to the bus stop, and safety. For 5-year-old Riley McNamara in Ashford, Connecticut, December 2nd, 2022, started like any other school morning until her front porch became a battlefield between mother and beast. At 7:55 a.m., Riley stepped outside to wait for her school bus, following the same routine that had become second nature to her young life. The rural setting of their home had always felt safe and peaceful, but something was unnaturally wrong with the world around their property that morning. A raccoon suddenly appeared, lunging at her leg and latching on with its claws and teeth. The animal's aggressive behavior in broad daylight immediately signaled rabies, a disease that transforms woodland creatures into foam-mouthed demons driven by uncontrollable rage. Raccoons are naturally nocturnal, but this one had been possessed by something far more sinister. Her screams for help reached her mother, Logan McNamara, who initially assumed her daughter had simply hurt herself on the door. The shocking reality became clear when Logan rushed outside to discover the raccoon in full attack mode. The confrontation intensified as Logan hurled the animal across the lawn into the woods, fending it off as it tried to re-engage before finally retreating. Both mother and daughter suffered bite marks, punctures, and scratches on their legs and hands, requiring immediate hospital treatment and rabies shots. That raccoon attacked at the most vulnerable moment of a child's day. But our next story shows how family adventure destinations can become scenes of unexpected animal encounters. The giraffe kidnapping scene. Family road trips through wildlife parks promise magical encounters with nature's gentle giants, but for the Toten family visiting Fossil Rim Wildlife Center on June 1st, 2024, their drive through the 1,800-acre Texas facility became an unforgettable lesson in how quickly wonder can transform into terror. Father Jason, Mother Sierra Robert, and 2-year-old Paisley had entered the park in their black pickup truck, excited about the prospect of feeding over 1,000 exotic animals in a controlled environment that promised safety alongside adventure. The park's policies at the time allowed Paisley and Sierra to ride in the open truck bed, making the experience more immersive for families seeking close encounters with wildlife. As they approached the giraffe area along the park's winding roads, Paisley stood up with her handful of feed pellets, eager to share treats with the towering creatures whose grace had captivated her imagination. The atmosphere was cheerful and relaxed as other families engaged in similar interactions throughout the park. A mature giraffe approached their vehicle with characteristic grace, extending its impossibly long neck toward the truck bed where Paisley waited with her innocent offering. What the family expected to be a gentle feeding interaction suddenly became something far more dangerous. The giraffe leaned in, and its mouth caught Paisley's shirt collar or ponytail holder, lifting her about 10-15 feet into the air with her legs dangling. Sierra screamed and reached up desperately, grabbing Paisley's legs while Jason yelled from the driver's seat, both parents suddenly realizing their child was suspended high above the ground in a giraffe's mouth. The startled giraffe opened its mouth and dropped Paisley back into Sierra's arms in a gentle manner that prevented serious injury. Paisley was unharmed physically with no bites, scratches, or falls, but was emotionally shaken. Fossil Rim banned riding in open truck beds on June 6, 2024. That giraffe's actions seemed accidental, but our next case reveals how tourist destinations can become scenes of calculated animal aggression. The monkey abduction attempt. The Sacred Monkey Forest Sanctuary in Ubud, Bali, attracts over 1.5 million visitors yearly who come seeking magical encounters with over 1,200 long-tailed macaques living freely in this 30-acre Hindu temple complex. But around 2022-2023, one young Western tourist would discover that these seemingly charming creatures had developed far more sinister intentions than simple food begging. A girl appearing to be around 4 to 6 years old approached 2 monkeys with food in hand, likely a banana or snack purchased from vendors outside the sanctuary. Despite official bans on feeding designed to curb aggression, vendors continue selling bananas outside the sanctuary, creating confusing mixed messages for well-meaning visitors. The monkeys approached expectantly, and the girl innocently offered her treat, completely unaware that she was about to become part of the transaction herself. What started as a simple feeding interaction quickly escalated into something far more frightening. One monkey accepted the food, but then latched onto the girl's hand or arm, pulling her forward in a persistent, firm grip that showed no intention of letting go. The girl's surprise was evident evident as she resisted the animal's pull, but the monkey's strength and determination far exceeded her small frame's ability to resist. Her father, who had been standing nearby watching what he thought was a charming interaction, quickly realized the situation was escalating beyond simple feeding. He grabbed his daughter and pulled her back, creating a brief tug-of-war with the determined primate. The monkey finally released its grip after the father's persistent efforts and scampered away into the trees. The girl sustained no visible injuries with no bites or scratches, but the tourist destination that promised safe wildlife encounters had revealed its potential for genuine danger. Monkeys can be persistent when they want something, but our next case involves a viral video that initially fooled millions about aerial predators targeting children. The viral eagle hoax. Sometimes the most shocking wildlife encounters turn out to be masterfully crafted illusions, as Montreal discovered when footage surfaced on December 19, 2012, showing what appeared to be every parent's worst nightmare: a golden eagle swooping down in Mont-Royal Park to snatch a toddler from the ground with predatory precision. The 18-second clip captured what seemed to be a family enjoying a peaceful picnic when a massive bird of prey descended from the sky in a hunting stoop. The footage showed the golden eagle extending its talons to grab the child's jacket and carrying him a short distance before losing grip and dropping him to the ground. However, wildlife experts immediately questioned the footage's authenticity. Expert David Bird debunked it on CBC Radio by December 20th, pointing to unnatural shadows and eagle behavior inconsistencies that didn't align with how these raptors actually hunt and behave around humans. The physics simply didn't add up for a bird attempting to carry a human child. The truth emerged when 4 students from the Centre NAD in Montreal admitted creating it as a 3D animation and digital design course project. The students confessed via a school press release, explaining their CGI process and receiving top grades for their sophisticated work that took approximately 400 hours to complete. That eagle attack turned out to be digital deception, but our next case involves very real and tragic consequences when children encounter our closest animal relatives. Boy in chimpanzee's hunting ground. 2-year-old Damien was playing unsupervised outside his family's mud brick home near the forest edge, engaging in the kind of innocent outdoor activities that rural communities had taken for granted for centuries. The village streets and pathways that connected homes to gardens and forest had always felt safe, despite increasing reports of chimpanzee encounters in the region. What emerged from the nearby bush was not the gentle, almost human creature portrayed in wildlife documentaries, but something driven by powerful territorial instincts and hunger. A lone adult male chimpanzee spotted the toddler and grabbed him by the limbs or torso before dragging him toward the forest. Damien's screams alerted his family, but the powerful primate moved with devastating speed that demonstrated the vast difference between human and chimpanzee strength. Once in the bush cover, the nightmare reached its horrific conclusion. The chimp mauled Damien, biting and tearing at his body, with reports indicating partial consumption, focusing on soft tissues like the abdomen and limbs. Family and villagers rushed toward the fading screams, but arrived too late to save the boy. The chimp had fled after killing Damien, whose mutilated body was found partially eaten in the bush, with tracks and wounds confirming the chimpanzee's involvement. That chimpanzee attack occurred in remote wilderness, but our next case shows how urban streets can become battlegrounds when pack hunters decide children make easy targets. Indian city street becomes pack hunting ground. New Year's Day 2022 was supposed to herald fresh beginnings, but for 4-year-old Gudi Bansal in Bhopal's Anjali Vihar colony, the first day of the year became a date forever associated with terror when her neighborhood street transformed into a hunting ground for coordinated predators. India's massive stray dog population, estimated at 58 million nationwide, had been growing increasingly aggressive in urban areas, but nothing could have prepared this working-class family for the coordinated savagery that would unfold right outside their home. Gudi was engaging in simple outdoor play on her residential street, the kind of innocent activity that should define childhood in any neighborhood. 5 stray dogs had formed a pack and were approaching her location with calculated precision, their movements coordinated like professional hunters who had identified vulnerable prey. The street suddenly became a hunting ground as the pack appeared, approaching her rapidly and causing her to run in panic towards safety. Unfortunately, Gudi's small legs were no match for the determined canines whose pack mentality had shifted into full predatory mode. One dog yanked at her dress, causing her to fall to the ground, before two dogs immediately targeted her head and face, biting ferociously and dragging her along the road. The brutality escalated as the remaining dogs joined the coordinated attack, chewing at her legs, hands, ears, and stomach, while working together to pull her body in different directions. The pack worked with terrifying efficiency, each dog targeting a different part of her small body to maximize damage, while she screamed desperately for help. Salvation came from an unexpected hero, a young male passerby who picked up stones from the roadside and threw them at the attacking dogs while shouting, successfully dispersing the pack. Goody suffered severe bites on her head, ears, stomach, and legs, requiring emergency treatment at Hamidia Hospital, including anti-rabies vaccines. Street dogs can form terrifying hunting packs, but our next case shows how even family-friendly sporting venues can become scenes of predator attacks. Baseball park becomes coyote hunting ground. Summer evenings at Del Amo Park in Carson, California represent the essence of American family life. Parents gathering to cheer on their children while communities come together around youth sports that should remain forever innocent and safe. But August 4, 2025 would prove that even the most wholesome family activities can become stages for nature's most terrifying performances. 6-year-old Enoch Palomar was there to support his sister during her youth softball tournament, probably feeling the excitement that comes with being part of a big family sporting event. The park's open fields and recreational areas had hosted countless such gatherings without incident, creating a sense of security that proved tragically false. While the game continued on the field, Enoch wandered behind the playing area, perhaps exploring or taking a break from the action, when danger emerged from nearby bushes without warning. A coyote suddenly appeared, charging at him without any sign of the fear that wild animals typically show around humans. The predator's attack was swift and merciless as it chased Enoch, who screamed and tried to run, but the coyote caught up, biting his legs and thighs and causing him to fall. Once the boy was down, the animal's aggression intensified, biting his back and head while Enoch kicked and yelled in desperation. His mother, Melissa Palomar, heard the terrifying screams and sprinted toward the commotion, yelling, "Get up!" to scare the animal. Other witnesses joined in creating noise that finally deterred the coyote, which fled across the field into hiding. Enoch sustained deep puncture wounds on his thighs, back, and head, requiring 20 stitches and rabies shots. That coyote turned a sporting venue into a hunting ground, but our next case shows how educational facilities can become scenes of unexpected marine animal encounters. Aquarium becomes underwater predator encounter. Educational visits to aquariums are designed to inspire wonder and appreciation for marine life, but the San Antonio Aquarium's interactive exhibits took on a sinister meaning on July 30, 2025, when the boundary between visitor and sea creature became dangerously blurred in ways no parent could anticipate. Brittany Tarrin had brought her 6-year-old son Leo for what should have been an enlightening summer adventure filled with discovery and learning. Leo, like many curious children, was drawn to the fascinating giant Pacific octopus named Cthulhu and reached into the open-top touch tank, extending his arm toward the creature. Cthulhu initially appeared calm, extending one of its arms to make contact with the boy's hand using its powerful suckers. What started as gentle exploration quickly escalated when the octopus wrapped its arm around Leo's forearm, applying suction that Brittany described as a vice grip. Leo attempted to pull away, but found himself trapped by the creature's incredible strength, each sucker capable of 35 pounds of force, creating a collective grip that could crush bone. The octopus held firm and pulled his arm deeper into the tank, while the 6-year-old began crying in pain and fear as the situation persisted. For approximately 5 minutes, the octopus maintained its hold while Leo cried, and Brittany and bystanders tried to intervene by gently prying the arm off, but the animal resisted their efforts. Aquarium staff eventually arrived, using techniques like distracting the octopus with food to encourage release. Leo suffered multiple bruises, welts, and minor abrasions along his arm from the suckers. That octopus demonstrated how educational facilities can become scenes of animal encounters, but our next case shows how entertainment venues can become stages for predatory behavior. Television studio becomes live predator attack scene. The daytime talk show Conselho de Mujer on Televisa featured diverse guests and family-friendly segments, but one episode would become a cautionary tale about the unpredictable nature of wild animals in controlled environments. A mother and her toddler daughter were invited to participate in what was supposed to be a charming segment featuring young lion cubs, the kind of wholesome entertainment that television producers believed would create magical moments for viewers. The mother held her daughter calmly on her lap, feeling secure in the controlled environment where trained professionals managed every aspect aspect of the show. The warm studio lights and cheerful atmosphere created an illusion of safety that masked the predatory instincts lurking beneath the surface. The lion cub, despite its young age, retained powerful predatory instincts that entertainment value couldn't override. Without warning, the cub lunged at the toddler, grabbing her leg or clothing with its paws and mouth, attempting to pull her from her mother's arms in a predatory manner. The mother's grip tightened as she screamed, desperately trying to maintain hold of her daughter while the cub persisted with relentless determination. The struggle continued for several terrifying seconds as the cub tugged forcefully, while the mother held tightly and the toddler cried in fear. The trainer and show staff rushed in, prying the cub away by its scruff, while other guests helped shield the child. The toddler sustained no physical injuries beyond possible scratches, and the segment ended abruptly with the cub removed from the set. That lion cub attack was broadcast live, but our next case shows how America's most trusted vacation destinations can become hunting grounds. Disney Resort Beach becomes alligator attack scene. The Grand Floridian Resort and Spa had hosted countless families seeking the ultimate Disney vacation experience, but for the Graves family from Nebraska, June 14, 2016 would forever shatter the illusion that Disney's controlled environment could protect against nature's predators. Matt and Melissa Graves had brought their 2 children to Florida for what was meant to be a dream vacation at one of Disney's most prestigious resorts. 2-year-old Lane Thomas Graves was enjoying a Movies Under the Stars screening on the Seven Seas Lagoon beachfront, playing in shallow water while his family relaxed nearby. The man-made beach area carried no swimming signs, but had no explicit alligator warnings, creating a false sense of security for guests who assumed Disney's famous attention to detail extended to wildlife management. The resort's beautiful beaches seemed like the safest place on Earth for children to play. Around 9:15 p.m., as dusk settled over the lagoon, nature revealed its deadly presence with shocking suddenness. A wild American alligator emerged from the water, lunging at Lane and clamping its jaws around his head or torso, dragging him backward into deeper water with prehistoric efficiency. Matt Graves immediately jumped into the water, grabbing the alligator's snout and trying to pry its jaws open while sustaining bites to his hand during the desperate struggle. Melissa also entered the water, attempting to pull Lane back by his legs in a tug-of-war against a creature that had already claimed its prey. The alligator overpowered them, rolling to drown Lane and submerging with the child into the murky 6-foot-deep lagoon. Divers found Lane's body intact 16 hours later, about 10-15 feet from shore, confirming death by drowning and neck trauma. Disney's tragedy shows how dangerous animals can strike anywhere, but our next case reveals how family camping can become a fight for survival. Montana Campground Road becomes bear attack scene. Perry's RV Park and Campground, located south of Red Lodge in the shadow of the towering Beartooth Mountains, had welcomed countless families seeking adventure near Yellowstone National Park for decades without major incident. For the Finley-Dixon family from Washington State, August 11, 2024, around 10 p.m., would transform their multi-generational camping trip into a desperate fight for survival against one of nature's most efficient predators. 3-year-old Madison Finley-Dixon was sleeping peacefully in their tent alongside her mother, Leah, exhausted from a day filled with wilderness exploration and family bonding. The campground lacked bear-proof storage facilities, relying instead on campers to follow proper food storage protocols, a system that depended entirely on human compliance and knowledge that many families tragically lack. The scenic mountain roads that led families to this supposed paradise had become pathways to terror. An adult female black bear, attracted by food odors from unsecured items near or in the tent, approached quietly around 10 p.m. while Madison and Leah slept, completely unaware that death was stalking just outside their fragile canvas walls. The bear ripped through the tent fabric with its claws, creating an opening and startling the occupants from their sleep into a nightmare where their shelter had become a trap. The bear swiped or bit at Madison's head, causing superficial lacerations, while Leah was also struck on the head while protecting her daughter with desperate maternal fury. The tent that should have provided protection had become a hunting ground where a 3-year-old child faced nature's most efficient predator with nothing but canvas between them and death. Screams alerted other campers and family members, including Madison's father Chris, who rushed to help drive the bear away with noise and lights, their voices cutting through the Montana darkness like prayers to gods who seemed deaf to their pleas. Madison and Leah had minor head wounds treated with stitches and antibiotics at St. Vincent Healthcare in Billings, and Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks euthanized the suspected bear by 8:25 p.m. on August 12th after DNA matching. That bear attack showed how even remote wilderness roads can become deadly hunting grounds, but our final case reveals how waterfront walkways and marina paths can become scenes of aquatic predator encounters that drag children into underwater nightmares. Marina walkway becomes otter attack zone. The Bremerton Marina in Washington state embodied this ideal with its scenic wooden docks and family-friendly atmosphere, but September 12, 2024, around 9:30 a.m., would prove that even the most carefully maintained waterfront areas can harbor unexpected dangers lurking beneath the surface. A mother and her toddler were enjoying what should have been a peaceful morning stroll along the marina's wooden walkways, taking in scenic views of Sinclair Inlet and the Olympic Mountains beyond, while breathing in the fresh sea air that makes waterfront living so appealing. The 3-year-old was walking near the dock's edge, probably fascinated by the water and marine life below, when danger emerged from the depths with shocking suddenness. A North American river otter emerged from the water below, climbing onto the dock structure and targeting the child directly. The otter latched onto the child's leg or clothing with its claws and teeth, pulling them off the dock and into the shallow water about 3 to 4 feet deep. The child was briefly dragged underwater, struggling and screaming while the dark water closed over their head like a liquid grave, their small lungs filling with salt water as they fought against forces beyond their comprehension. The mother's maternal instincts exploded into action as she heard muffled screams coming from beneath the surface. She jumped into the water without hesitation, grabbing her child and attempting to pry the otter off while it exhibited defensive aggression that seemed almost supernatural in its intensity. During the struggle, the otter bit and scratched both the mother and child, exhibiting defensive aggression for several seconds that felt like an eternity of pure terror. Bystanders and marina staff heard the commotion and assisted, their voices joining in desperate shouts that finally convinced the otter to release its grip and flee back into the inlet where such creatures belong. Both required hospital treatment for bites and scratches, along with rabies prophylaxis, but there were no complications, though they remained under observation for potential infections that could prove more dangerous than the initial attack. Thanks for watching this journey into the terrifying reality of what happens when kids meet dangerous animals in the street. If these real encounters have left you wondering what other dangers lurk in seemingly safe spaces, click on the suggested videos for more shocking cases that will change how you view child safety forever.